I want to bring in Senator Robert Menendez, chair of the Foreign Relations Committee. Good to see you, Senator. Good morning.
Good to see you, Chris.
Why can't we find Edward Snowden and bring him back to the U.S.?
I'm sorry?
Why are we having so much trouble bringing Edward Snowden back to the U.S.?
Well, obviously, we have countries who see it in their interests, not necessarily to be helpful to us here. Snowden clearly has, from all accounts, additional information. And so he is, in my mind, being facilitated by countries who are happy to see him continue on the course that he's on. It's very difficult to understand, particularly the Russian position, that they have no way in which to consider extraditing him back to the United States when Russian police were surrounding the plane that he was supposed to have gotten onto Cuba and threatening to take phones away from journalists. If you seem to have the ability to do that, it seems to me you seem to have the ability to have access to Snowden.
So what do we do now? Does the president need to do more here? I don't know, make a personal phone call, to ask for Snowden to be detained or extradited? Does he need to be stronger on this issue, as some of his critics have suggested?
Well, look, I think his Secretary of State, Secretary Kerry, didn't mince any words, either as it relates to the Hong Kong issue with China and his passage through there or with the Russians. And you saw the Russians' sharp retort today. They obviously felt the sting of the criticism. So I think it's very clear to the Russians where we're at. I think it's very clear to the Ecuadorians or any other country who's considering accepting him and giving him some type of asylum, that would have real consequences for their relationships with the United States.
Julian Assange, who has been facilitating a lot of his movements, helping along, says that Edward Snowden hasn't talked to the Chinese or the Russians, but there are questions about whether China took information from his 4 computers. A former KGB general was quoted as saying there's no way you get someone with this kind of knowledge of the CIA in your radius and you let him go. How worried are you about that?
Well, look, you know, we have always been in an intelligence race with the Russians. That's historical, still continues to today. You know, and Snowden may very well be considered a treasure trove. And so ultimately, to think that there wasn't some attempt by them to engage with Snowden, to extract information from him, and in doing so, that the quid pro quo is that they would help him ultimately exit the country once they got whatever information they wanted, is not beyond the realm of the possibility. So you know, it is a real concern.
I want to switch gears and talk about immigration. Big vote yesterday, 67 to 27, to start the debate on border security amendment. 15 Republicans voted yes, but were you disappointed you didn't get 70?
No, I've personally always said that, in fact, you know, 60 was a supermajority in the Senate. I've never insisted on creating an artificially new higher limit than the supermajority in the Senate. We don't get 60 votes on significant or controversial issues of the day in the Senate virtually ever. So to have gotten 67, and 2 of our colleagues, unfortunately, their flights had been canceled, we would have been at 69 yesterday. So I think that is as a robust vote as you're going to get on something as significant, as comprehensive, and in some cases as controversial. And I think it is a tremendous acknowledgement of solving a problem the American people want to see solved. Poll after poll, across the ideological spectrum, they want to see us solve our problem of our broken immigration system. And yesterday's vote was pretty overwhelming and should send a strong message to the House when that becomes the final vote on passage.
The border surge is estimated, as you know, Senator, to cost $30 billion and still didn't win over a lot of the Republicans. Even Bob Corker said it's almost overkill. Do you think in the end it was worth adding this amendment?
Look, at the end of the day, there are colleagues on the other side of the aisle, I've said this many times, that no matter what we do, no matter what amendments we permit them to have, no matter, you know, these are the very same people who at different times in the question of immigration debate said they wanted a fence. Well, now they got a fence, now they don't want a fence. They wanted more border patrol, now they got more border patrol, they don't want border patrol. So these are individuals who really have a problem with a fundamental issue. And that problem is they cannot see themselves ever agreeing to a pathway to citizenship for the undocumented in this country. That's their core problem. And so we will never solve that problem because that's an essential part of what Democrats insist on.
Senator Robert Menendez, always good to see you, sir. Thank you so much.
Good to see you, Chris.